Crafting candy is an art that requires engaging all five senses: flavor, smell, touch, sight, and even hearing. This balance of sensory input allows for remarkable creativity and precision in candy making. At our candy shop, we take a step back in time, drawing inspiration from the 1800s, particularly the Victorian era. Many of the tools and equipment we use are authentic pieces from that period. We take great pride in being among the few who have revived these traditional methods, dedicating efforts to tracking down and restoring vintage equipment to its former glory. Today, we have an exciting lineup, including sugar plum drop candies, eggnog image candies, and the classic peppermint candy canes. Our process begins with the candy canes. The first step involves cooking the sugar. We mix it with water and then boil off all the water. To ensure a smooth, non-granular texture, we use two types of sugars, sucrose and glucose. If we only used sugar and water, the mixture would crystallize back into granulated sugar once it hardened. This precise balance of sugars prevents that from happening. The entire store knows when we're making peppermint candy because the strong scent permeates the air, causing a cooling sensation on the skin. This unique reaction not only clears any congestion or allergies, but also creates an invigorating atmosphere. Remarkably, just 25 pounds of candy canes require less than an ounce of peppermint oil, demonstrating the potency of this ingredient. When creating candies with multiple colors, we add the food coloring directly on the table. This allows us to segment and separate different color areas efficiently. One of our specialized tools might not look like a traditional tool at all. It's a large table with a top made of half-inch thick steel, featuring a water circulation system. This setup enables us to rapidly cool the hot sugar. The parts of the candy in contact with the table cool quickly, while those not in contact retain heat longer. By continuously folding the candy, we even out the temperature, allowing us to control whether the candy acts more like a liquid or a solid, or something in between. This precise temperature control is crucial for achieving the desired consistency and texture. As we approach the next step, it's time to transform the amber sugar into a bright white. For this, we use a hand-forged iron hook, which is thicker than most hooks we've encountered. Its thickness allows it to radiate heat more effectively, reducing the likelihood of the candy sticking. By pulling the amber candy about 75 times, we incorporate air bubbles into the mixture. These tiny bubbles are essential because they reflect light, giving the candy a brilliant white appearance. Each pull and fold traps more air, enhancing the candy's visual appeal and ensuring a consistent texture. Our dedication to traditional methods and attention to detail set us apart in the candy-making industry. The process of making candy canes, from cooking the sugar to adding the peppermint oil and creating the perfect colors and textures, is a labor of love that connects us to a rich history. Every step is meticulously planned and executed, ensuring that each piece of candy we produce is of the highest quality. Our use of vintage equipment and techniques not only preserves a piece of the past, but also brings a unique charm and authenticity to our products. We celebrate the art of candy making, blending historical practices with modern expertise to create delightful confections that evoke a sense of nostalgia and wonder. Next, we move on to making the stripes on the heating table. It's crucial to ensure the stripes are perfectly even in thickness. Interestingly, candy canes didn't always have stripes. The earliest candy canes were plain white. If you examine Victorian greeting cards, which provide a glimpse into the history of candy canes, you'll notice they appeared without stripes until the late 1800s. This change happened partly because people associated peppermint with the color white. Now, I'm just waiting for these stripes to properly adhere to the candy. A critical aspect of candy making is managing the colors, particularly to prevent them from migrating into each other. We control this by carefully managing the temperature, At this stage, the only reliable way to gauge the temperature is by feel. Experience tells us how stiff the candy should be. Here comes the batch roller. It twists the candy as it moves down the taper. We need to monitor this process closely because if the candy twists too much, it can distort the spiral. However, a bit of twisting is beneficial as it creates the iconic spiral pattern of the candy cane. To form the hook on the candy cane, we carefully bend it. Think of it as if we're bending a tube. The inside white part is softer than the outer layer, so we need to be gentle. We use our hands much like a plumber uses a tube bender. And that's how we create our candy canes. Next, we move on to making drop candies. The process begins similarly. We boil the sugar and add flavoring. For sugar plum drop candies, everything is the same color, unlike our other candies that feature multiple colors. This allows us to simplify a bit. We can add the coloring and flavoring directly in the pot. When we pour the mixture onto the table, we spread it thinner over a larger surface area to cool it faster, speeding up the candy-making process. By observing the texture and temperature of the sugar, we know when it's time to add citric acid. Citric acid needs to be added at the right moment because it will burn if the sugar is too hot. This acid is crucial as it brings out the flavors, especially since most flavorings don't contain acids naturally found in fruits. The sugar mixture becomes impossibly thin as we work with it. Teaching candy making can be challenging because it's all about touch and feel. The consistency is constantly changing, and there's a precise moment when we need to cut it. We want to cut it when the outside is hard and the inside is still liquid, so we can average out the temperatures. You can see it starting to become a little more compact, but then when we want to manipulate it, we want more of a clay consistency for the initial shape. However, we want it to become harder to retain the shapes once it's done. This is a 150-year-old equipment. The machine is a fruit drop roller, and we're doing this by passing the candy through it and getting out the shape at the other end. Today, we're using the diamond shape for the candy. The diamond candy not only looks pretty, but also provides 8 surfaces in your mouth, allowing the flavor to spread faster. So we like this for subtle flavors, like the sugar plum. The sheet of candy comes out connected by sugar, which we call flash. The flash holds the candy together when it comes out of the machine. But now we need to get rid of it. We need to break the pieces apart, and we do that by dropping the candy. The last thing we have to do is get rid of all the sugar dust, the remnants of the flash. Finally, we'll make the eggnog cut rock image candy. We start the process the same way, boiling the sugar and adding the flavor. Hot pot. I call it image candy. The correct term is cut rock. It was originally invented in Blackpool, England. It's also sometimes called Blackpool rock. Blackpool rock is sold in a big piece with the art all the as we cut through like a stick of rock, they call it. What we're doing is breaking it into bite-sized pieces, which is the cut rock part. I suggest we move to the table right about now. My piece looks good. I'm not sure if yours is a little hot, but we have time to cool it. I achieved this by cooling off the corners of the presents. However, we want the outside to be hotter so that the candy can slide around it, sharing its heat and stretching it out so the image will scale. One fascinating aspect of image candy is its creativity. It's possibly the most creative candy we produce and also among the most complex. We have to craft 3-dimensional art that's visually appealing. For the present, we aimed for the inside color, light blue, to be opaque. So when we wrapped it with clear blue, light passed through, bounced back out, and enhanced its beauty. This technique is called cloisonné. We're essentially creating little boxes for the light to bounce in and out. Finally, we cut the pieces. We use a small candy anvil, elevating it off the table to cut it with our chopper. The force of the knife hitting it ensures that all the pieces become bite-sized, each containing an identical or nearly identical image. People often forget that history isn't far away, and neither is the future. We're here in the middle, caretakers of ideas, people, friendships, and loves. If we can remember that, everything can be as sweet as candy. The process of making candy is an intricate artistic endeavor, from boiling sugar to shaping and coloring each piece of candy. Every step in the process requires careful attention and skill, from controlling temperatures to avoid negative effects on the color and shape of the candy, to pulling and cutting the candy precisely to create perfect pieces. Moreover, this process also contains valuable lessons in patience, creativity, and care. When making candy, it takes not only patience to achieve the best results, but also creativity in crafting unique and appealing candy designs. Additionally, caring for and maintaining the tools and machinery is an essential part of the process, ensuring that everything operates smoothly and efficiently. From the candy-making process, we can draw lessons about patience, creativity, and attention to detail. Furthermore, it serves as a reminder of the importance of preserving and passing down artistic techniques from one generation to the next, ensuring that our heritage is always respected and continues to thrive. That's all the information that we have for you today. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell so you never miss out on future episodes. And be sure to also tell us what you think about today's content. Everyone's support motivates us to continue delivering quality content and to always improve. As always, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.